Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope your week's off to a great start. Thanks for taking a few minutes to watch this video. This weekend, we talked about the parable of the talents, Matthew 25. And we read that whole parable. And Jesus talked a lot in parables as examples of what the kingdom is like. And he said many, many times, the kingdom of God is like this. The kingdom of heaven is like this. So he's explaining to us by using a story or an example of what the kingdom's like. Why? So we can walk in the kingdom. So we can understand how the kingdom works. The kingdom means king's domain, how the king thinks, how he operates, how his domain, his kingdom, his empire, how it functions. And that's the kingdom we live in as Christians. It's a spiritual kingdom. It will be a natural kingdom on this earth one day when he comes back. But it's spiritual. I mean, of course, God's kingdom in heaven, but it's also on this earth, but you can't see it. You can't taste it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it, even though it can produce feelings in us or cause feelings in us. It's not something we feel or see or hear. It's a spiritual kingdom, and it's inside of each believer. It's in his spirit. He has given us his kingdom. So we need to know this so we can operate in the kingdom. And so this parable of the talents is just one of the pictures or examples of how his kingdom operates. And it's about stewardship. Everything we've been given, we are to steward and be good stewards of what we've been given. Everything we've been given is from the Lord. It's from God. It has come from him. He has graciously given us everything we have. It belongs to him, but he's given it to us to steward, and it's not up to him how we handle it. It's up to us what we do with it, with what he's given us. So I'm going to read in Luke 19. This is very, very similar to the parable of the talents. It's called the parable of the minas. And you'll see how it's very similar. It's basically saying the same thing. So I'm going to read this. So this is Jesus talking. Luke 19:12 says, "Therefore he said, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return." So similar. This guy left, but he was going to come back. "So he called 10 of his servants, delivered to them 10 minas." That was like a portion of money, a sum of money. "And said to them, do business till I come." Do business till I come. So what was his command to them? Do business till I come. Don't just sit there doing nothing. I'm going to come back, but I want you working. I want you busy. I want you doing stuff. Okay, so that's what Jesus is coming back. He left, but he's coming back, and he's given us his spirit. He's given us his kingdom to do business, to occupy until he comes, to be busy working. Okay. "But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us." So I believe that's talking about his people, Israel, how they rejected Jesus. "And so it was that when he returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded these servants, to whom he had given the money, to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading." So we're going to give an account. These guys are giving an account of what they did while he was gone. "Then came the first, saying, Master, your mina has earned 10 minas. And he said to them, Well done, good servant. Good job. Because you were faithful in a very little, have authority over 10 cities. That's interesting. He said, because you were faithful with what I have given you, now you get to have authority over 10, but he says 10 cities. So he's putting him in charge over an area, over people. And I do believe the Bible teaches that, one day when Jesus comes back, we're not just going to be sitting around doing nothing. We're going to be busy working. He's going to put us in charge over things. And there's going to be lords and kings. He's the Lord. He's the king. But we're all going to be serving under him. And we're going to be busy doing things. Okay, then came, let's see. And then verse 18, the second came saying, Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. So I produced something for you. Likewise, he said to him, you also be over 5 cities. So good job. Then another came saying, Master, here is your mina. Here's your mina, the one you gave me, which I have kept put away in a handkerchief. So just like the guy who buried his talent, under the ground. This guy didn't do anything with it. He just put it away in a handkerchief. For I feared you because you are an austere man. So we see something very similar here, the same thing. Why didn't he do anything? Because he was afraid. He didn't understand God. He didn't know God. He was afraid, and he was afraid to mess up, afraid to do something wrong. So he didn't do anything. Fear will keep you from doing what God wants you to do. Fear will keep you from being active and producing works, producing good things, helping people, doing things for God's kingdom. If you're afraid, it'll keep you paralyzed. That's why we should not live by fear ever. We should not be in fear. We should be free from fear and walk free from fear. You collect what you did not deposit and reap what you did not sow. And he said to him, out of your own mouth. So this is what the Lord said, the master, out of your own mouth, I will judge you, you wicked servant. So out of your own mouth, what you have spoken, you will be judged. You wicked servant. He called him a wicked servant because he didn't do anything with what he was given. You knew that I was an austere man, collecting what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank? Then at my coming, I might have collected it with interest. So same thing in the parable of the talents. At least put my money in the bank so I could get some interest on it. Do something. You didn't do anything. And he said to those who stood by, take the mina from him and give it to him who has 10 minas. For I say to you that to everyone who has will be given, and from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. But bring here those enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them and slay them before me. So this is very serious, very serious. God is serious about what he's given us, and he's a gracious Father. He's a gracious God. Just like the guy in this parable, he gave all these things to his servants. And apparently it didn't say that they earned it, but he gave it to them. He was very generous. God is very generous. And when they used it, when they produced fruit from it and multiplied it, guess what he did? He blessed them even more. He blessed them tremendously, very generously, because they did something with what they were given. They were good servants, faithful servants, good stewards. God has called us to steward what he has given us, and it's not on him. It's not on him. He has given us everything. He has poured he so graciously through Jesus. He has given us everything he has, his spirit, his word, his life, his forgiveness, mercy. He's given us the knowledge we have of him, his word that we can understand him. We have everything that we need, and it's up to us. It's not up to God anymore. You know, some people will put it off on God. It's all on God. You know, he's sovereign and he's doing everything, and there's nothing you can do about it, and he's going to do whatever he does. And so you know, it's all on him, whatever happens. It's all God's will, whatever happens. That is not true. That is not what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches he has given, he has done his part, but now it's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to us what we're going to do with what God has given us. And people that say that, what they're doing is they're blaming God for anything that they don't do. Instead of taking responsibility on themselves and being good stewards, they put it back off on God and blame God. That's exactly what Adam did in the garden. God, it was your fault. You gave me the woman who the enemy deceived. It was your fault. You gave her to me. If you wouldn't have gave me the woman, I wouldn't have sinned. He blamed God. We should never do that. Never blame God. It's our responsibility and it's our privilege what we're to do with what God has given us. It's not on him. It's on us. Now it's his stuff and it's all from him, but it's up to us what we're going to do with it. Let me read this one more verse in Philippians 2, verse 12 says this: work out your own salvation. He's talking to us. You work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure. So it's God's power. It's God's grace. It's God working in you, but it's up to you what you're going to do with it. You work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So let's be good stewards of what God's given us, and let's not waste what he's given us. Let's be faithful in the little. So that one day when we appear before him and he comes back and we're standing before him, he can say, good job. We can say, look, I took what you gave me and I did everything I could with it. Good job. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. And as long as we're good stewards and faithful servants with what he's given us, we're going to hear that one day. So hopefully that helps you, encourages you and challenges you a little bit. So, all right, I love you guys. Have an awesome week and God bless you. And we'll see you this weekend, if not before.